Um, okay, so we'll say hi to Nikki just now. I'm going to try and do this Facebook Live thing, and then it's going to be screening live on the Animal Talk Africa page, if all goes to plan. Right, taking page.
Hi, Laura. Hi.
Okay, so it seems to be it's setting up the meeting for Facebook Live.
Oh, yes, that's come up on my screen, live on Facebook as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So welcome everybody. And a very, very special welcome to Nicola Vernon, or Nikki as we know her, from Greyton Farm Animal Sanctuary.
Hello, everybody.
And as you all know, this is Heart for Farm Animals, Heart Energy, Achieving Real Transformation. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the call, we're going to do what we normally do and start with a connecting meditation. So I'm going to share my screen. If I can ask everybody to, maybe apart from Nikki and myself, to switch cameras off and make sure you're muted.
If I notice anybody is unmuted, then I will mute them, so that just to make sure there's no problem. So if you suddenly find yourself muted, that's why.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janine. And thank you for being in the background. And Simon's in the background on Facebook Live, watching comments there if people are signing in there. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay, everybody. All right, so I've just put up on the screen this beautiful photograph of the pigs, some of the rescue pigs at Greyton Farm Animal Sanctuary. You can see it's the most pristine, beautiful environment. And as we just start feeling more relaxed, you can just rest your eyes gently onto the faces of these beautiful pigs, or into the distant mountains and the clouds, or you can close your eyes completely. And just feel your feet firmly on the ground. So feel the soles of your feet on the solid ground beneath you. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine a beautiful rose gold colored light. This is the symbol of unconditional love from the universe. Visualize it all around you and breathe it in. As you breathe it in, you feel yourself relax. And as you breathe out, imagine any heaviness, any anxieties, any worries leaving your body and being transformed into that rose gold light. You're in the present moment. There's nothing else around you but this present, this moment where we have gathered today to connect with nature and to specifically connect with animals that have been farmed. As you breathe in, I want you to focus on your heart center. So you can place your hand on the center of your heart, your chest, your palm covering your physical heart. Become familiar with your heartbeat. See if you can feel it. And now, as you breathe in that beautiful rose gold light, imagine that rose gold light filling your heart space, filling it up and cleaning and clearing it of any fear, any anger, any anxieties, any pain or heartache that has been with you. It's been a tough time for so many people, specifically in South Africa at this moment. A tough time for the animals and for nature all over the world. So let us just feel the love from Mother Nature as she warms our hearts and transforms that pain and anxiety into only love, that pure, unconditional love that exists around us and within us. Feel it filling your heart space. And now feel it expanding to every cell of your body. Creating a field around your heart, a field of love and protection. And now grow that field. See it growing bigger and bigger, moving throughout your body. And then see it moving beyond your physical body into the energy field around you. And see it expand even further into the room that you're sitting in, into the space around you. And as it expands, it includes all beings of nature, the animals, the plants, the insects, the birds, the waters, the seas, and of course the people. We are also part of nature. Feel and see that field of unconditional love expanding beyond your personal space into the surrounding areas, into the cities, the towns, the countryside, the entire country where you live, where you are at the moment, beyond the boundaries that are man-made. There are no boundaries in nature. All the boundaries that we set ourselves are human-made. Even the emotional boundaries. In nature, there is no separation. This love connects all of us in this space, in this field of love. We are one with all beings. And this is the space of connection where we can start listening to nature and to the animals and to be guided by them for the actions we take, for the feelings we feel, the thoughts we have, the energy that we create. Let us be guided by nature throughout this call, throughout this gathering, so that we can make a difference, each and every one of us in our little way, but also together as a community. Feel that togetherness, that oneness in your heart as you start becoming aware of your physical body once more. And slowly open your eyes and come back into the room. Where we start this call.
Winter, just to let you know, oh, she's just coming back in. We'd lost Nicola, but she's back.
Okay. Thank you, Janine. She was worried a little bit about the connection at the farm. It's always a bit challenging doing these nature connections on a Wi-Fi connection in nature.
I'm here. I'm back again. Sorry about that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Nikki. It's perfect timing because I'm just about to start. What I want to do, I'm going to first start with just talking about the basics of animal communication and then how the heart work actually works. And then I'm going to hand over to Nikki to talk about the plight of farm animals and about her sanctuary and the incredible inspirational work that she is doing. So thank you all for being here. And I know that we have a few new people that possibly haven't been on their heart calls before. So we're going to start just why I was inspired to do this Heart for Farm Animals is Nikki invited me to do a workshop, a physical workshop at the sanctuary. And I had intended to do one a number of years ago, Nikki. I don't know if you remember, and we were going to combine with Baboon Matters and do a baboon walk there. And and then, you know, there were the big fires and all sorts of other things happening. And then, of course, this time round, South Africa went into our third wave and there was very tight lockdowns, restrictions again. So I went and visited last weekend and I just wanted to do something for the sanctuary because just listening to the stories and connecting with the pigs and other animals there, it really is a movement. It's not just a sanctuary. It's an amazing space that Nikki has created and with all the volunteers. So this is about raising awareness, assisting on an energy level, and also an opportunity for people to donate and become aware of the work that Nikki is doing. But before we get into that, I want to talk about animal communication and just what it's all about and how it works and how we all have the ability to do this. And I just want to remind people about how it was in the beginning. There's traditions all over the world from indigenous cultures who talk about the beginning of time, when there was a time where humans communicated without words, and we communicated not just with each other, but we communicated with all life in the space of oneness where there was no separation. We lived in harmony with the animals and nature. Whenever we wanted to eat something, we asked permission of the fruit to fall, you know, of the trees to take part of their sustenance and the nutrition that they offered at their fruit. And we would wait until the fruit was ready to drop into our hands. Nothing was taken without permission. Even animals, and I'm talking about a story from the indigenous people of South Africa and Credo Mutwa, who's a great African Sanusi, talking about the time when, and it wasn't that long ago, when humans did eat animals when they felt they needed to go and hunt. It was always with permission, and the animals, there would be this amazing relationship between predator and prey, which is in what nature has between predator and prey, an agreement of exchange of energy, very unlike what is happening today with the consumer society, where people are consuming animals without a thought of where their food actually even comes from. So my mission in life, I think, has always been, since I started communicating with animals, is to help people to reconnect and become less separate and acknowledge the oneness that we all are, so that we can all thrive with mutual love and respect. So when we are connecting with animals and nature, the most important thing to remember, one of the very important things to remember, is that we are living in a sea of energy. So every thought that we have is a frequency of energy. Every emotional feeling that we have, any physical feeling, every experience that we experience, we give out as an energy frequency. And every single being on this planet vibrates at a certain frequency. And now the common frequency that we all vibrate at is love, unconditional love. And this is demonstrated by, if people are familiar with Masaru Emoto's work, Japanese scientist who experimented with water. And these are samples of water that have had thoughts of, on the left here, I hate you, I want to kill you. And what I find fascinating is there's a little man, human being that has come into this form. But when that same water had the thoughts, I love you and thank you, expressed to it, look at the beautiful crystal that formed when the water was frozen and put under high microscopes, a high microscopic lens. He's done amazing experiments, and if you don't know his work, it's well worth looking it up. But that, to me, when I discovered this, it showed that our thoughts are physical feelings, and explained how we can actually receive messages and information from other beings. It's not so way out if you start looking at the evidence that is in front of us, that how our thoughts and feelings are actually a physical energy that can make a difference to water and can affect every single cell in our bodies, which is made up of 70 to 90% of water. So that energy that connects us all is unconditional love. And there's a lot of research that's been done about how, when we are in that space of unconditional love, the frequency is the same as the frequency that nature vibrates at. And love, the opposite of love, is fear. So love connects us, and fear is the thing that disconnects us. So the big thing that stops everyone from being able to communicate with animals or any being intuitively is the fear that we have been conditioned to live with. And you know, in my teachings, I teach people to clean and clear their hearts of fear in that moment. I mean, fear is part of survival, but it's the fear that we have been conditioned that isn't, it's almost an unreal fear, fear of things that might never happen. And so it's a lot of training if you want to be really, really good at receiving pure information. To some people need it more than others, to practice more than others, but we all have the ability. And so what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to guide you into connecting, and you are going to actually practice this. And I'm just going to tell you the basics. And this is a beautiful picture of Evers, who is the animal manager at Grayton Farm Animal Sanctuary with Hamlet. And he's just holds that unconditional love in everything that he does. It just beams out of him when you meet him. And the animals recognize that completely as well. So what we first do, and I will guide you through this when we actually practice this in a few minutes, You set the intention, you ask permission. You create the heart connection, which is going into your heart space, just like we did for the grounding meditation, and feel that unconditional love. Be open and write. I always say to people, write the very first thing that comes. It really is helpful to have a pen and paper, or even just type in your keyboard, in your notes. Anything that comes into your awareness, and it comes very quickly. Feelings are probably the first thing that comes, emotional feelings, but you might get a physical feeling in your body, images, words, sounds, smells, and tastes, and maybe just a sense of knowing as well. And trust, that's the biggest thing. Trust what comes, because we've set the intention, we've asked permission to connect in this way. If something comes into your mind or into your thoughts or into your awareness that doesn't make any sense, why do you think you've made it up? Trust that it comes from the being that you have intended to communicate with. We've created the field. We've created this perfect environment to receive messages. So trust. Okay. And then the heart energy, achieving real transformation, is using the information that you received when you connect with the animals to visualize a positive outcome. So that can be whether it's a missing animal, when you are communicating to the animal and seeing the route home, guiding the animal home with protection, with love. You are connecting and you're sending a message to that particular animal. And it's like, and I worked this out when I was working with missing animals, actually. It is co-creating the most positive outcome for the situation. You're co-creating it with the animals, with the divine that you're connecting with as well, with Mother Nature, who to me is the divine. And it is amazing how often that work, when you're working with that positive intention, creates the positive outcome in reality. So the animals come home. And so much better than actually just trying to track the animal. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be listening to a pig called Minnie, to Mother Nature, to the land of Greyton Farm Animal Sanctuary. And we're going to be guided into how we can actually help with the plight of farm animals. We visualize that positive outcome. We focus on each step of the process, and we trust that our message has been heard by the universe, that the creative force is in action. And then we act, we do things, just like Nikki, who's going to speak now about how much she has achieved just through her hard work and being called to create the sanctuary. And so without further ado, Nikki, I'm going to ask you to step in. I don't know if you'll be able to put your video on so that we can see you.
I can try. I just don't want to lose you again.
Yes. Well, look, we can hear you fine. So there you are. If it starts getting wobbly, maybe just we can switch our cameras off. Okay.
Good.
So Nikki, I want...
Where do you want me to start?
I want you to start with just asking what called you to start the sanctuary in the first place. How did it all start?
When I moved up to this farm in 2003, I didn't really have any intention to start a sanctuary. I have always loved animals, and I thought I might now, with 100 acres, be able to fully indulge my love of pets and have more dogs and cats than I've ever had in my life before. But sadly, in this country, unlike in my home country of the UK, there isn't much shepherding of farm animals, and we are right bang in the middle of farm animals in production. So we have sheep all around us and cattle. And the lambs who were being born in the early spring or even as early as late winter were often compromised because there was nobody looking out for them, and they were subject to the weather. And I could see that some of them were suffering really badly. So we used to pick them up, revive them, and then tell the farmer we had them, and he would come round and take them off us. And every time I saw them go, it was like tearing a little bit of fiber from my soul, because I knew where they were headed, and I had gotten to know this beautiful, innocent, pure creature. So after a while, I said to the farmers, look, can't we keep them? Because economically, they're not viable. They're to you. They are so fragile. We're going to have to spend a lot of money reviving them. And I found that actually the farmers were very willing to give us their most fragile animals. And before we knew it, we had about 12, 14 sheep. We've now got 52. And then our first pig arrived. And that's when I thought, hang on here, we've actually got a sanctuary. And that was 7 years ago when we registered it and became a proper rescue centre and sanctuary.
Oh, that's beautiful. And as I was saying before, you're so much more than a sanctuary. You were obviously felt the need in the community to educate people. So can you tell us a bit about all the other programs that you've created since then?
Well, what you were saying in your introduction resonated with me greatly, because coming from the UK and having an outsider's view of the situation in South Africa, I could see that some of the most pressing problems in our communities had one root cause, and that is a crushing lack of self-esteem. So if you don't care about yourself and you think so lowly of yourself, why would you care about anybody else, human or animal? And I was moved to try to introduce animals into our more vulnerable communities to see if, through the love that animals can give it when they themselves are loved, we could inspire more empathy and self-love in people who maybe lack that because of the circumstances of their birth and their upbringing. And I found quite astonishing results. And obviously this led me to investigate humane education. And thanks to the Humane Society International, we received funding to introduce the program into our schools. And as children became more and more accustomed to working with animals, and in this case, you can see we brought our farm animals, and these little lambs and the piglets were hand reared and they crave human attention. So bringing them to the schools actually was enriching for the animals as well as for the children. And we just saw these children's heart centers open as the animals responded to their love. And because they're slightly unusual to have these tame, soft, beautiful farm animals in their community, they had an even greater impact than maybe if we'd introduced cats and dogs. And we found that bullying went down, bad behavior went down. The children started performing better in a more conducive environment. Their grades started to go up. And we were absolutely amazed by the response of the children to the program. It was beautiful to see.
I mean, you can just see the delight on their faces there.
And the wonder, the awe and the wonder.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I mean, and the adults as well, I'm sure. I know just being in the presence of these little things, is amazing.
And it did affect the teachers as well. And somebody asked, how often did we do this? We were very careful because we didn't want to stress the animals out. We would only take them in for, say, about 40 minutes at the most. And when we saw that they'd had enough, we would say that's it for today. But we also brought the children to the sanctuary. So we tried to get most schools probably had about 5 or 6 visits per term. And we have 6 schools in our valley, but we also had children coming up to the sanctuary as well. So there was quite a significant amount of exposure, but we also then tried to help them to look at their own animals differently. So that but when we were gone with our animals, they started responding to their cats and dogs in a different way.
Oh, that's beautiful. And then I know you've got that beautiful pure vegan cafe in Greyton as well. You know, how I thought it was such a brave thing I've always thought it was a brave thing for you to do in the heart of a animal farming community for meat, to open a vegan cafe.
It was probably one of the least wise commercial decisions I've ever made, and remains so to this day, because not only are we serving vegan food to showcase just how amazing it can be and how delicious, but also our prices are incredibly low because we want to make it accessible. Now, you know, it's a bit of a fallacy to say that being a vegan is expensive. It's not. If you eat mainly plants. But a lot of people find the transition from eating meat to becoming vegan very difficult, very challenging. And there's plenty of plant-based alternatives out there, like alternative milks, alternative cheese, and burgers and pizza and everything, just about everything. But they do tend, being processed foods, to be quite pricey. So we try to keep our margins very, very low, sometimes even as little as 15%. So we don't make money, but we spread the news that you know, plant-based food can be very delicious, very nutritious, and you can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I know so many people want to make that move to veganism, but they don't know how. So that
Yes.
is so excellent. And then I want to ask you about the Pig to Plant. I've got a lovely sign, your Pig to Plant program, because it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I love the way those 4 are showing you their bottoms. That is, they are part of a group of 17 pigs that we rescued from a pig farmer who willingly gave them up. And I must just say that little space that they're crowded into is their sleeping quarters, and they love sleeping on top of each other because they get the warmth. They actually have access to the full 100 acres. They can wander around as far as they want to. And that picture on the right is where the pumpkins are, is where the 17, in fact, there were 54 pigs altogether at one point, where they were actually kept. And when the farmer surrendered them as part of our Pigs to Plants program, it triggered a grant. And with him being a full participant, we built a vegetable garden for him. And he now earns more money from his vegetables, selling his surplus vegetables, than he ever did with the pigs. And his whole attitude has softened considerably. He has now, instead of it being a little bit unpopular in his community because his pigs were always escaping, they were living in dreadful, dreadful conditions. They're not the plump, white, clean pigs you see on the left then. They were very, very skinny and living in their own filth. Changing all of that for him has transformed him and his family, and he even gives his surplus vegetables now to the vulnerable neighbors around his house. And he's gone from to a complete hero in his community after many, many years of being fairly unpopular on his block.
That's amazing. And hoping many, many more. And I know he's sharing his good energy with others so that they can also change. So yeah, that is fantastic. And I just, when we arrived, this is the farm gate, and we saw your structure for your barn that you're going to start that you've been building for an educational center. So just to show people that, well, just talk a little bit about the education center that you're planning to build.
Okay, it's a multi-purpose barn. So the far end is where the education centre will be, where it'll be humane education and agricultural resource centre. So it'll be for both teaching teachers how to teach humane education to their children. We're also hoping that we'll get into teacher training courses at universities, and we'll be able to bring trainee teachers to the farm as well. That will all happen in the left-hand side. And over towards the right-hand side, we will have paddocks, pens, for our more vulnerable animals who are perhaps slightly disabled, who crave attention and love and lots and lots of cuddles because of their disability, and ones who really can't get enough of human company. And we've got several like that who you could just sit with them all day, every day, and they would love it. So what we were hoping to achieve, there is a mezzanine floor covering 2/3 of the barn as well. You can see some of the cross beams. That will be a workshop space. So we're hoping also to encourage all sorts of workshops, including your own, Winter, where people can sit and there will be the gentle snuffly sounds of happy animals below them. The teachers will be able to see the actual animals that we're talking about when they're doing the humane education. The farmers will see how difficult, if in fact impossible, it is to make a profit out of pigs if you keep them properly. So we will hope convince them not even to start with pigs, but to rather choose another form of income that's more compassionate, such as vegetable growing. It's also a space for our volunteers. We've got a very successful volunteer program with volunteers coming from all over the world. So they will also have space inside the barn, so that we have at all times somebody available in the barn alongside our animals. So they are always, there is always somebody available for the animals. And we've also going to have a large demonstration kitchen where we can showcase vegan meals, teach school cooks. That's the other thing we're very, very keen to do, because we have vegetable gardens, big vegetable gardens in each and every school now in our area. And we want to keep teaching the cooks how to use those vegetables when they're cooking for the children who need school meals.
Mm. Oh, that's so fantastic, Nikki. Thank you for being such an inspiration. And so, and then at the end, we'll show you how you can help support Nikki in so many different ways. But for now, we're going to support the farm animals. I forgot to go through all these beautiful pictures, but I'm going to, just while you're starting to get yourself back into that still space, feel your feet firmly on the ground. I'm just going to go through some of these characters that live at the sanctuary. This is Hamilton, who's well known there, and makes himself well known there. Just as we settle down. You can see how much space they have when during the day when they're out in the fields, and then all warm and snug at night. And of course, just a reminder that you also look after any wildlife that needs looking after, and that was the blue crane Eep that you hand raised, and also cats and dogs that come into your care as well. So it's not just a sanctuary for farm animals. Okay. So let me now, I'm going to guide you. I'm also going to put I think if we put our cameras off now, Nikki as well, and then people won't be distracted and they can just start gazing. I'm just going to. All right. Oh. So once again, feel your feet firmly on the ground. Take your focus back to your heart space. Feel that field of unconditional love. You can visualize it as a rose gold light extending from your pure heart, that clean heart. If there's any remnants of anxiety or fear, see it transformed into unconditional love, into that rose gold light. And settle into that heart space. And gently open your eyes and rest your gaze on Minnie, one of the pigs that live at the sanctuary. And while we're in this field of connection, we ask permission to enter into a communication with Minnie. And now feel the love that you have for all of nature. You can even think of the being that you love most in this world. Feel the love that you have for that being. Feel it gather into your heart space. Sometimes it feels like your heart's about to burst with that love. And it's a pure love, a love without need, without conditions. And you send that love to Minnie right now in this space. And you thank her for being with us in her physical form. And now we're going to go into silence for a few minutes and just take note of everything that comes into your awareness. Don't think about it, just write it down if you can. Feel everything that comes. Trust. Don't disregard anything. Just feel it. If you're feeling stuck, you can ask Minnie. You can start with a question and say, how may I assist at this time? Feel that connection that you have with Minnie and with all of nature at this time. Once again, thank her for connecting with us. Thank her for the assistance. Know that you can go back and communicate with her for a longer period of time if you need to. And now keep that connection with Mother Nature in general as we start to visualize positive transformation for all farm animals. Stay in that heart space. As you start seeing images in your mind of a world that slowly starts transforming. Where people start waking up to understand what they are consuming. For farmers to start realizing that the animals that are being factory farmed are individual sentient beings that need to be treated or are asking to be treated with respect and love, unconditional love. And see a world where animals are no longer abused for food. And if food is needed from those animals, they are treated with the utmost love and respect. But let us see a world waking up to the fact that there is enough land for nature and humans to thrive together, as long as nature is treated with love and respect. She gives so much to us. When she is nurtured, when she is loved, she supports us in every possible way, physically, emotionally, spiritually. See those factory farms where animals are kept in traumatic situations start to empty and be filled with vegetables that thrive in rich soil, that people harvest with love. See animals that were formerly used for food be kept with love in comfort until they are ready to pass into the next world. As we visualize the transformation of our physical world in the energy world, we know that we are manifesting a different way. While we're in this space, ask for guidance for yourself. What can you do to make a difference? What actions can you take in your own community? They need not be huge. They need to be small and loving. The most important thing is for every thought and every action to take place from the space of the heart, from a space of unconditional love, for the highest good of all beings. While we're in the space of visualizing, we visualize peace for all animals, human animals, and non-human animals. We see peace prevailing throughout the world. In our homes, in our cities, in our countries, in our seas, our oceans, and in our hearts. That's where it starts. Let peace prevail in our hearts and let that peace extend to all beings. Feel that transformation happening in your own heart. And hold on to those visions. And keep feeling into that present moment. When you're feeling lost, when you're feeling alone, reconnect with your heart. There are many, many like-hearted people around the world. Find your community. Connect with those people. Ask, what are your next steps? How can I assist? What is the best possible action I can take right now? Sometimes that action is just to sit and be, and sometimes it is to do more. Feel into when that timing is right for you. Take a deep, big breath in. Fill your heart with gratitude and love as you come back to your physical body, to the physical room. Okay, everybody, thank you for that. I hope you felt that. I'm just looking at the time. We're almost on an hour. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, I'm quickly going to share. My voice is gone. Nikki, do you want to just speak about how you can talk about supporting on a physical level when I get my voice back?
Yes, of course. Paul, you're okay. You've done a lot of talking. Right, there's a number of ways. Obviously, we do love donations. Cash is king. It's constantly going out. It costs about 1.2 million rand a year to run this sanctuary and all its programs. But you know, there is an app called A Billion, and you just Google it and you'll get led to it, very easy. And you can use it to review vegan dishes, food products, and you can redeem each review for $1 US dollar to a sanctuary of your choice. We're one of 3 sanctuaries in South Africa, and I promote them all equally because a rescued pig in Gauteng is exactly the same as a rescued pig in the Western Cape. So there's Ashes Farm Sanctuary, there's Pigs and Paws, and then there's Greyton. And if you do sign up for the first time and use my referral code, which is Nikki V, NICKYV, then we get 25 cents for every review you do in addition. So that's a wonderful way of donating to us. We get about 20,000 rand a month from the app, and it's growing as more people sign up to it. It's a game changer. It means we can reach more children with our humane education program, persuade more farmers to stop farming piggies. We can do more vegan cooking demonstrations and get more and more towards a more compassionate world. And there's another website called Calicoin, and this is cryptocurrency. And many people who are involved in cryptocurrency often have a big heart for animal welfare. Somebody made that connection, found out about this, and created Calicoin, which is a cryptocurrency like any other, but it makes regular donations and inspires its people who hold the Calicoin to make donations to help animals who are, obviously in this production system that has become such a massive abomination. And those 3 ways, cash through our site and SnapScan, PayPal, bank account details in England and in South Africa, A Billion, Calicoin are all ways to give. And of course, we welcome volunteers. So if you want to give your time and come and help us with the massive amount of belly rubbing we have to do for our piggies every day, please, please, please do come and see us. That referral code is Nikki V, NICKYV. And that will earn us an extra 25 cents, which makes a big difference.
That's brilliant, Nikki. Thank you so much. And the code is in the chat if you want it. And if anybody wants to learn more about animal communication, the learn.animaltalkafrica.com site is where you'll find a lot of free webinars, a lot more of the heart gatherings, as well as some mini courses and full courses as well. So that has taken us up to the hour, but I would really welcome questions if people have questions, and if Nikki, if you've got a little bit of extra time, maybe another 15 minutes or so, we could have a question and answer session now.
Yes, there was a question flashed up about rabbits and things, but I didn't quite see that. If anybody can repeat that question to me, I can answer it. And yes, there isn't exactly a duck in the room, but there is a goose called Brucey, who's actually a girl. We got that wrong. And round about now, I throw out some chicken feed for him. So I will be staying online, and I'm very much here and available because I'm on my phone. And I'm just going to throw out a nice load of chicken feed for him because Brucey, and there he is joined by Lucy. They don't know that I'm online, and they only know that round about now, their mother throws food out to them. Done.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear them. And as you know, while we were doing the meditation, the Egyptian geese were on the roof above me as well, squawking. So not quite farm animals, but also just part of nature, honking their gratitude. I think. I did see that question. It was from Beth. And do you have turkeys, chickens, goats, and/or rabbits at your sanctuary? And how many total animals live there?
We have 111 pigs, 52 sheep, 17 goats, 9 cows, 2 chickens, roosters, 6 geese, a duck, and 6 dogs and 6 cats. We have just also taken a little hedgehog in today who has been kept as a pet and is now in our care. That's 200 and, oh, I can't quite remember. It's just over 200 animals.
That's so fantastic. And, you know, not just remembering to mention, not all the pigs there are farmed pigs. They're also rescued from the pet industry when they get too big. People think they're buying those little pot-bellied pigs.
If anybody ever thinks of getting a pig as a pet, please just come to see me first. There are some fantastic piggy parents out there who do an absolutely wonderful job of keeping a pig as a pet. In fact, it's probably always best to have 2 pigs rather than 1 because they're very, very social. But please, please come and see us first, or go to see Pigs and Paws or Ashes in Gauteng, because they are not like dogs at all. They are very dense, thick animals, and that whilst they might be quite small relative to farm pigs, they can still weigh 60 kilos and only come up to your knee. And having that powerful an animal in your home with his or her massive amount of intelligence, they are, I think, the 4th most intelligent animal on the planet. They're constantly seeking stimulation. So they might end up ripping up your carpets, ripping up your furniture. They will certainly totally destroy your garden. That is almost a given. Some gardens do survive pigs, but very few. So yes, it's a shocking thing how breeders just keep breeding these poor animals, even though they know that many of them are going to be looking for sanctuaries like ours, and we're full. You know, we also have farm animals coming to us all the time. We want to be open for horribly neglected and abused farm animals. And if we keep taking these piggies who have been very spoilt and very beautifully looked after, we can't open up for the ones who have been abused and who come to us injured and on the verge of death.
Mm. Yeah. So someone says here, entire pet breeding industry should be eradicated completely. Yeah, and there are so many unethical people when it comes to animals in every sphere. So, you know, part of that visualization is to just that all animals are treated with respect. And I do believe we will get there one day, maybe not, you know, and when I always say, if you see a situation where it's already occurring, so as in Greyton Farm Animal Sanctuary, as in the White Lion Trust on a wildlife space, you hold that vision and you see it expanding, so that the pigs to plants see it expanding, and not just in this country or just in Greyton, but all over the world. It's such a beautiful concept that it has to work. It is working. And it can just get bigger and bigger. So see things like that expand. And then I also just, if we've got a little bit of time, just want to speak a little bit about Minnie, because she was probably the pig that I had the most communication with when I was visiting last weekend. And Minnie has got something called ataxia, which is something that's developed because of her inbreeding. Because, I mean, Nikki can tell you that these pigs are only they're only supposed to be alive for about 7 months and then they're off to slaughter. But Minnie was one of the rescue pigs. So the longer they live, the more physical problems they get. And Minnie's back legs don't work. And Nikki was concerned about, her quality of life. And I always know when the communication is not from me, even though I've been doing this for 20 years, we always want to have that confidence and that trust that it's not just our feelings that we are putting on and mirroring from, that we are putting onto the animal that we're communicating with, because that's a big thing that many people do without the experience and the training. And when I connected with Minnie, it was because when I first met her, she just felt very frustrated and, very, very frustrated. And the beautiful thing when I did a full proper communication with her was saying that she was so grateful to have that loving touch, to be in an environment where people are caring for her all the time. I mean, she gets lifted out into the sunshine. She gets a blanket full of seeds and things to forage in. She's not bored. She gets caressed and massaged and cuddled, and she absolutely, what I was getting from her, she really loves that. And although her body is it's hard to be in that body, she is so appreciative, and she will let Nikki know when it is her time to go. And Nikki, I know you are very, very good at picking that up and feeling when the animals are needing to go and if they need help or not help. That's something, Nikki, you say you can't communicate with the animals, but you are doing it all the time. And so that's what I just wanted to share in case anyone picked up anything from Minnie during that communication as well.
Yes, I'd like to add that it is very difficult to know how far to go because, as you quite rightly mentioned, these pigs are not bred for longevity. They've been messed around with genetically, plus in many areas, especially the backyard pig farmers, unregulated breeding takes place. And Minnie comes from a family that we rescued from the farmer who gave them up. She said they all come from 2 original pigs. So there's been a massive amount of inbreeding. And that gives her a genetic compromise that really has, I'm sorry, now I've got a cough, but that has really caused her a lot of problems. But as my friend said, who's in a wheelchair, just because I'm disabled doesn't mean I want to be put down. And I really had to think about that because I've always thought, oh my gosh, they must be so bored. They must be so frustrated. And on occasions, I have been so convinced that they are really having no quality of life. And I've seen that I have felt there's been some deterioration. And I've asked the vet to come in. And as soon as the vet comes, they perk up. They try to get up, they suddenly look extremely lively, and I can see written all over their faces, nope, do not want to go right now, thank you very much. And when they have wanted to go, it's been crystal clear. And a lot of them, because they are so connected to nature, when they want to go, they simply go. And I've hardly ever, I think I've only had to put to sleep 4 animals and only 1 pig, and that was because their injuries or their conditions were causing them immense pain, and they were actually starting to be unable to they were literally gasping for breath. And on every other occasion, they have just simply had a wonderful life. They've been eating and lively, and then the next morning I found that they've just decided to go.
It is beautiful. You're giving them such an incredible life, be it long or short, the time that they have with you. And that's what Minnie really showed me, is that just the absolute gratitude of having that gentle touch. That was something that she'd never experienced. And I think that means so much to her, and that you trust them and you trust yourself as well.
Yes, and as you saw, when you just gently stroke her cheek, she really leans into it. You can feel her appreciation.
Yeah, it is. Okay, everybody, and I think we'll probably leave it to that unless people have any more questions. There's a question here about the basic courses. I do have, I just completed writing a mini course that was held with a couple of live sessions a couple of weeks ago, that you can find that on my Learn.Animal Talk Africa. And it's an introduction to animal communication with heart. So it explains the whole heart process in a lot more detail, and you can still sign up for that as well. I'm just going to end off with, I'm trying to get the right slide here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to end off, everybody, with this beautiful picture of Greyton Farm Animal Sanctuary. And please feel free to email me or Janine if you've got more questions, or if you want some more clarity about anything that you picked up from Minnie. And I will be in touch with Nikki as well if there's any particular question that I don't know the answer to. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Hold that vision. It works. I know I've seen the positive transformation on so many levels in so many areas. And thank you, Nikki, for giving us your time and being such an inspiration.
Thank you so much. I've been very moved by the amount of people who have come and joined us today, and all the beautiful messages. It's really been a huge boost to me and to all of us at the Sanctuary. So thank you, Winter, for the gift you have brought to us today.
Thank you, and we'll do this again, and hopefully we'll do something in person for people to visit as well. So in the not too far distant future. Okay. All right, everyone. And thank you to Janine in the background, and Simon, who's also been doing things in the background to assist, and just for the support of everyone here as well. And with that, we'll say goodbye and thank you again until the next heart gathering.